And boom, we're on. Please tell me you've noticed that I have come to you live on time tonight. You know why? The reason is simple. When I come to you this late at night, the very last thing I want is to be late, because it just bleeds and eats into my going home time. So usually when I jump on live at this time of night, I try and stick to the time as much as possible. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. If you would, please sling this broadcast to people that you think would be interested in this conversation. I think this is something that we need to talk about, and we have to talk about to some degree. So share this live if you can. I'd be very grateful if you could do that. I'm over here at Simoson Building, plot number 8585 on Simon Mwewa Lane, opposite City Market, right sandwiched between Simon Mwewa Lane Market, Kalusha Walia Road, and Lumumba Road. Guys, there's several things we need to talk about tonight that I want to jump straight into it. But before I get into my dissertation, I just want to point out very quickly that, as many of you know, Raphael Nakacinda applied for bail, and his bail application was promptly declined and in a sense denied. And let me explain this, because sometimes I think PF, they lose themselves when they try and spin this narrative that they are being victimized. Raphael Nakacinda is not being victimized in any shape, form, or fashion. Everything and anything that is happening to Raphael Nakacinda is self-imposed, it is self-induced, it is self-caused. And we're going to run through it. You remember, not too long ago, he stood up and on the highest mountaintop, he claimed that President Hakainde Hichilema was privately meeting with judges in an effort to create a one-party state. He said in no uncertain terms that President Hakainde Hichilema was creating these machinations. He was scheming. He was in a very skullduggery fashion, having dark corner meetings, clandestine meetings that were designed to coax, to coerce, to hamstring, and to twist the arm of judges in an effort to create a one-party state. That's what he said. I mean, this is there. Well, how many people know that when you paint in broad strokes, when you make such huge, grandiose claims, and you are taken to task for it, that is to say, if the law visits you and says, you've made some pretty outlandish statements concerning the head of state, you've kind of, made some tall claims, and we're going to sue the hell out of you, and your job is going to be to prove what you've said. Raphael Nakacinda was not bludgeoned in some dark corner building. He wasn't attacked by anybody. He wasn't beaten by anyone. He was simply taken to court in an effort to give him an opportunity to substantiate the things that he said concerning HH meeting with judges in a clandestine fashion in a bid to create a one-party state. Well, needless to say, to make a long story short, Raphael Nakacinda did not bring anything to the table that not only remotely suggested that what he claimed was true, because it wasn't true, he simply couldn't prove it. He simply couldn't produce the evidence that was required for him to walk scot-free. He didn't have the wherewithal. He didn't have the dexterity. He didn't have the ability. Nay, he didn't even have the proof to show, to indicate to reveal that through HH was trying to create a one-party state. He couldn't prove it. And because he didn't prove it, and because we live in a land of laws, not a land of men, okay, the court saw it fit to sentence him because what he did was a crime. Let's not lose sight of that. It was a crime. And then here it is, he appealed for bail. The court declined and said, look, the reasons for your application are not cogent. Ooh, that's a pretty word there, boy. Tell you what, it's beautiful. The court said, well, the reasons for your bail application are not cogent. The word cogent means they're not convincing. They're not compelling. You know, if your appeal, and this is how the legal system works. I know this because I've been through it. When you appeal, in order for the court to grant you bail, your appeal has to be convincing. The grounds of your appeal have to make sense. Raphael Nakacinda's appeal did not make any sense. The basis upon which he appealed didn't make sense. It was not cogent. So they turned down his appeal. So he's going to have to spend at least a year in there. All because of what? Because he created a falsehood. All because of what? He tried to gain traction by bringing the name of the head of state into disrepute so that the populace looks at HH negatively and say, oh, so this man, he wants a one-party state. That was the whole plan. But that plan landed with a hollow thud. Now he's where he is. And he's got no one else to blame for that. He has no one else to blame for that. The PF, what they have to do now is start looking for a new Secretary General. Raphael Nakacinda is in no moral position to continue as Secretary General of that party or the fragment of that party, because, you know, as you know, PF has been split literally in 3 different pieces. Add to that, which now brings me to what we're talking about tonight, Makbi Zulu, who for many, many years touted himself, presented himself as the voice, the spokesperson of the Lungu family. And for a long time, I've been saying this. I mean, you tell me in the comments, did I or did I not say that Makbi Zulu had an ulterior motive? That everything Makbi Zulu said, everything he did in connection with Isiel's body had an ulterior plan. It had an ulterior motive. In his mind, he had an end game. What was the end game? The end game was to ultimately declare his desire to run for president. Now, let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with wanting to run for president. Nothing at all. Anybody that is a citizen of the soil, anyone that calls themselves Zambian, anyone that stands under that beautiful flag right there, and you are eligible and you're qualified, there's not a single person on this soil. If you're qualified and you want it, you can go get it. But here's the thing, here's the caveat. If your motive is to run for president by using underhanded methods, then you are questionable. I mean, Makbi Zulu kept on saying, oh no, I'm just a spokesperson for the family. I'm just here to look out for the interests of the family. When we know good and hell well that he was a sheep in wolf's clothing. Wolf's clothing. We know good and hell well that he was a skullduggerer boy. We know good and hell well that the whole time he had a dagger under his cloak and he was ready to use it when the opportunity presented itself. Dare I say, and this is my view, I don't know what you think, but this is what I believe. Dare I say, I believe not only was Esther Lungu the architect of making sure that ECL's body does not return to Zambia. But one of the biggest jigsaw puzzles to that whole cacophony was Makbi Zulu. I believe that. And because I know in my heart that because his end game was to ultimately run for president, it was in Makbi Zulu's interest to hold on to the body of ECL and use it as a bargaining chip. Ooh, deep. Are you with me? Let that sizzle in your spirit. Let that marinate in your soul. Let it bubble in your oblongata. That was the whole scheme. It was the whole spiel. It was the plan. And then all of a sudden, after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, everything, Makbi Zulu did everything within his power to block, to circumvent, to hinder, to fetter the release of ECL's body back to the homeland where he is supposed to be buried with full honors. Once Makbi Zulu achieved that goal of delaying that process, he now comes out and says, even though we haven't buried ECL, I'm going to take this opportunity to declare my intention to run for president of the republic. Negro, you haven't buried ECL, and there you are talking about the presidency. How disloyal can you be? This whole thing was not about ECL. It was about you. This entire scheme had nothing to do with upholding ECL's legacy. It was about you. And because it was about you, Makbi Zulu, we see right through you. We do. Listen, man, let me tell you. Esther Lungu, Tasila Lungu, her husband, and the family, they can endorse you. They can even bankroll you. I wouldn't put it past those people to bankroll your effort. What that means is, I wouldn't be surprised if Tasila Lungu, Esther Lungu, I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote checks to Makbi Zulu in an effort to finance his campaign. I wouldn't be surprised. But here's the thing. That is not a reflection of the PF electorate. Makbi Zulu is not the PF electorate's choice. I will tell you that conclusively. He may be Tasila Lungu's choice. He may be Esther Lungu's choice, but he is not the choice of the PF. That one I can tell you. And if you're going to, here's the thing, guys. Once the convention of this particular faction is announced, honey, they're going to be jumping out of windows. It is there where you will know why a fish has scales. It is at that convention where Makbi Zulu will understand why dinosaurs no longer roam this earth. Because the convention is a completely different animal. The 200,000 kwacha. Now, keep in mind, Makbi Zulu is just a lawyer. Okay, let's be clear. He's not like he's some philanthropic, tycoon. He's not. He's just a lawyer. Okay? So that 200,000 kwacha that he's managed to gather and to garner is for naught. You know what that means? It means it's not going to do anything. And all the guys in politics, remember this. There's an old adage in politics. In politics, there's no refund. When Makbi Zulu made his announcement that he wants to run for president, all the vultures, all the leeches, that stand in the periphery, all those chaps you are seeing surrounding Makbi Zulu, screaming his name, yelling his name from the mountaintop. Oh, Makbi Zulu, what are they saying? MZ8. That is the nature of the political beast. And your attempt to tame it will be for naught. You are going to learn the ropes of politics, Makbi Zulu, in a way that you have never learned it, even though you have a track record of having served in some political capacity. The presidency is a completely different animal, and once you grab it by the horns, it's going to throw you to and fro in such a manner that by the time you are finished, you are dizzy. Dizzy! On a serious note, and I mean this when I say this, I find it offensive. No, I find it disloyal. It is a slap in the face of ECL for Makbi Zulu to even think and fathom that he is the custodian of ECL's vision. What vision? What are you talking about? No, I'm here I'm going to advance the vision of ECL. What the hell are you talking about? You don't even know what you're saying. You think that you running for president is sending a message to HH. HH is not your opponent. He's not. It is the ability to attain the presidency. That's your opponent. Okay? Because if your entire outlook is just to defeat HH, if your entire desire, your whole inner makeup, if I can just defeat HH, if that's what you're thinking, you have already lost the battle, even before you have begun. The ability to attain the presidency, that's your enemy. HH has got nothing to do with it. And if that's the basis you're going to run for president, you're going to run for president based on that, you will never get it. Anyone that runs for president for their motive, for an ulterior motive, a desire to settle scores and to revenge and to get even with an opponent, anyone that runs for president because of those reasons will never get it. The Zambian people will ensure you'll never get it. I will tell you now. So, Makbi Zulu, shoot your shot, brother. Shoot your shot. Mightier men have fallen. Miles of Sampa, fallen. Mightier men have fallen than you. And you're going to be one for the history books. And when the convention happens and they start counting the scores, Makbi Zulu is going to be standing there like a rabbit in front of a cobra. He's going to be terrified, because once those numbers come out and they begin to announce the winner of that faction of that convention, I can guarantee you beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that the name that will ring forth will not be Makbi Zulu. It'll be somebody else, not him. All right. Thought I'd share that. And I'm not hating. I'm just telling you the truth. I mean, you know, I love Makbi. He's someone I interact with. We go to the same barbershop. We go to the same church, you know. But I just disagree with his politics. And there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with someone's politics. Martin Luther King said it's possible to disagree without being violently disagreeable. And that's my position. All right. Secondly, young people insulting HH. I saw these kids, just little boys, 12, 13 years old, insulting the head of state, using the most unpalatable language you have ever heard. Insolence like you have never heard. What's wrong with our young people? And yet a 12, what political discourse does a 12-year-old have? Tell me. Let us ask that question. What political discourse does a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy have? What political comment, what coherent political comment can a 13-year-old make? Nothing. 12, 13, you're just taken care of by your parents. 12, 13 years old, your job is just to go to school. 12, 13 years old, inchito yobe kuya fya kuskulu, kubelenga kuswata. Epela tapali fimbiyo. Nga wakula, when you become of age, you go to wafika grade 12, you graduate, then you have a voice in Zambian politics. But if you are 12, 13, 14, what voice, what political discourse do you have? Which means those chaps, those little boys, were simply paid by someone. Say this, Landefi, say this, insult the head of state so that we give you 50 kwacha. Well, those kids were caught. Those kids were arrested. And let me warn people, you know, this medium has changed. Social media, as you know, has evolved. We have to evolve with it. With the new cyber laws, all of us have to toe the line. All of us have to make sure that we cross our T's and dot our I's, including me. All of us have to be careful with what we say on this platform, on this medium. There's no such thing as freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is not free. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. The sooner you understand that, the better off you are. Okay? All righty. Chiwempala. I tell you, I was so disturbed. I was listening to a member of parliament announcing Kuti Kadarism has come back. Well, you're not the voice of the leader. Your voice is going to land with a hollow thud, because your job as member of parliament, and I keep saying this, and I will never tire saying this, your job as member of parliament is to echo the sentiments of the leader. Echo what the president is saying. The moment you deviate from that core message, it means you're on your own. That's what it means. You are not a reflection of the president's core message. That MP who stood in front of UPND cadres and said, in a sense, he declared war on the people of Chiwempala. Those are aggressive words of attrition. Those are words of aggression. In 2021. You remember what he said? I mean, I was here when the UPND cadres flooded City Market, Lumumba Road. They were out and they were thirsty for PF blood. I was on the street, and every few minutes, a UPND guy, and I remember this was at a time prior, I have to paint this picture for you, prior to 2021, you could never see a UPND t-shirt here. It was not possible. They would beat you within an inch of your life. I've been a black apple, I've been a cabbage, I've been a mutila, I've been a monga, I've been a suke. After 2021, when HH won, this place was a sea of red. It was rouge. You know the word rouge? Rouge means red in French. The UPND cadres who flooded City Market, Town Center, Lumumba Road, they were looking for PF chaps to bludgeon, to beat, to annihilate. They were thirsty for blood. They were out for revenge. But what did HH say? HH said, no. Do not retaliate. Do not revenge. Do not be aggressive. And then, miracle of miracles. This one, iye namukanaka. I will never stop talking about this one because me, I saw it. I was seeing it, but I couldn't believe it. HH said, from now on, wear whatever t-shirt you want. If you want to wear ECL, wear it. If you want to wear PF, that's your choice. If you want to wear UPND, that's your... For the first time in my life, I saw a woman selling fruit on a PF chitenge next to a woman selling fruit on a UPND chitenge. Unheard of before 2021. So now you have a leader who preaches love, who preaches cohesiveness, who preaches patriotism. And some member of parliament from Mwewa wants to destroy that by saying, no, Kadarism is back. You're not preaching the president's message. Preach the president's message. Echo his sentiments. Say what he said. The Apostle Paul said it this way: follow me as I follow Christ. Ooh, that'll preach. That'll preach from any pulpit. I'm telling you right now, boy. So Imwe, that MP from Mwewa needs to be strongly cautioned. Those are words of attrition. Once the spark of violence is attained, not even you can contain it. Bwana. MP bakubwengwa. That nonsense you're peddling, once it erupts, not even you can contain it. MP bakubwengwa. So don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't, in your excitement, say things that have got no business being said. If the president says no violence, repeat that statement. Say it. The president made it clear. He used the word introspect. After the Chiwempala incident, the president said, well, it's time for us to maybe introspect on the issue of Senseli. Say what he said. Don't add spice to the president's words. Echo what he's saying. Mirror what he's saying, so that we are all on the same page. All right. All right, it's late. It's after 8. I gotta go. Those are bars. Did you hear that? It's late. It's after 8. I gotta go. I need to be on tour somewhere. I need to be on stage with Run DMC and Dr. Dre and them. Instead, I'm stuck here at Simoson with bus drivers nabachakolwa abakuchibolya nakachaso nafuaga na dagayo. All right, I gotta go. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.